Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to your science class. So, we had already started the topic changes around us, and in this topic, we had discussed few types of changes. That is reversible changes, okay, then irreversible changes. Then we also discussed about the cause. There is always a cause behind any change. There is always a cause which brings about a change in a material, okay. So various types of causes also we have seen. Now reversible, irreversible definitions and examples. Then we were discussing physical changes. So what do you understand by physical changes? The physical changes refer to the changes in the physical properties of the substances such as shape, size, color, and state. Now these changes are reversible in nature. Okay. So in a physical change, no new substances form. For example, tearing a piece of paper changes its shape and size. Now, if you see in a physical change, no new substance is formed first of all. Okay, there is a change in shape, color, size, and state of the material. So here are the characteristics of a physical change. So first one is no new substance is formed. Okay, then a physical change is a temporary change. It can be easily reversed. Okay, fine. So we'll just go through some examples after this. Then third point is very little energy, heat, etc. is either absorbed or evolved in a physical change. And then the last one is a temporary change in color may take place in a physical change. So these are the characteristics. I hope you all have noted this down because this is a very important part. You have to write down the definition of physical change in your copy. Then you have to write characteristics as well. Okay, and after that you'll be writing few examples which we'll be discussing. So the first one, kneading of flour to dough changes its state. So what is happening over here? The physical state, the shape, the size of the material is changing. Okay, the is changing from the powdered form to a solid form. So the physical, we can say appearance, physical shape, physical size of the material is changing. No new substance is formed over here. Okay, so you can just check it out over here. No new substance is formed in this change. Second one, it's a temporary change, can be easily reversed. Then very little energy, here also energy is used. Temporary change in color may take place in a physical change. So the second example is melting of ice. Now again, this is a physical change where the matter is changing its state from solid to liquid. Now here you can see this third point, that very little energy is either absorbed or evolved in a physical change. You will easily understand this point with this example, that here, see, if you see in this picture on the left hand side, a beaker is kept, and in that solid water, that is, we call it ice. So ice is kept in the beaker. On the left hand side and on the right hand side, liquid water is there. Now what is going on, which processes are taking place between the two, between the conversion of states here? When melting of ice takes place, this process, this melting, it requires energy. Okay, it absorbs energy from its surroundings, and due to that heat energy which this ice is absorbing from the surroundings, what is going on? The physical state of this ice is changing into the liquid state. Okay, so here what is going on actually? Water, the solid state of water, it is converted into the liquid state of water by absorbing the heat energy from the surroundings. Fine. So this process is called melting. Now, what happens when this liquid water is converted into solid water? Which process takes place? Freezing. Okay. Now this freezing, this process, it releases energy. So the energy which was absorbed earlier in the process of melting, okay, that energy is liberated in this case, in this freezing. Okay, so that is why when we put this liquid water in the freezer, what happens? Its physical state is converted into solid state from liquid, है ना? So that is why जो पानी जो हम freeze करते हैं, that is converted into ice. So this is these two processes, this melting and this freezing, both these are physical changes because no new substance is forming over here. कोई नया सब्सटेंस नहीं बन रहा है, वही वाटर है, वही सॉलिड फॉर्म में आ रहा है, वही लिक्विड फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट हो रहा है. Okay, so no new substance is formed. Then this is a temporary change. So this is the best example. Here you can understand all the characteristics of a physical change with the help of this example. Okay, because first one, no new substance is formed in this change. Second one, this is a temporary change. It can be easily reversed. Then very little energy, heat, etc. Here also heat energy was absorbed in the case of melting, in the process of melting. And in freezing, what was going on? The absorbed energy, the heat energy which was absorbed earlier, it is released back into the atmosphere. Okay, so here absorption and liberation of energy is taking place in both these processes, melting and freezing. Then a temporary change in color may take place in a physical change. So when you will see this, you'll find a temporary change in this liquid water, in the color of this liquid water and this ice. Okay, so these two processes are called as physical changes. Okay, इसके अलावा क्या examples हो सकते हैं? This crushed can, this is again a physical change. Rolling of chapati, this is also a physical change. Apart from this, बहुत सारे changes होते हैं which are termed as physical change. So what we can do over here is, I'm just giving you some more examples. You can note it down. Okay, examples of physical changes. So what other examples we can take? Melting of ice we have already taken, but I am including it here. Melting of ice, then freezing of water, boiling of water, this is again a physical change. Condensation of steam, okay, or water vapor, this is again a physical change. कोई नया substance form नहीं हो रहा है इसमें. Evaporation of water. So just jot down these examples in your notebooks, children. So it would be easier after we learn chemical and physical changes. It would be easier for you to identify the change. So after this, you can write cutting of cloth. That is again a physical change. Or tearing of paper. I've already given this example. उसमें क्या हो रहा है? We are just tearing the paper into small pieces, but those small pieces are still papers. ठीक है, वो पेपर ही है, वो ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई नया सब्सटेंस बन गया या कुछ चेंज आ गया उसमें. वो छोटे छोटे पीसेस भी still they are paper. Okay, that is why that is again a physical change. Then breaking of a glass tumbler. Dissolving of sugar into water. Dissolving of sugar into water. This is again a physical change because here also no new substance is formed. When we dissolve sugar or salt in water, what happens? How can we say that this is a physical change? कोई नया substance नहीं बना है. See, what happens here is when we dissolve sugar or salt in a glass of water, when we are stirring that, so after some time the salt, it disappears, है ना? We are not able to see the salt. We can only see the that liquid. So that is now a salt solution, that has become a solution, salt का solution बन गया है वो. Now how will you say कि that is a physical change? हम कैसे बता सकते हैं? हम नहीं बता सकते हैं कि whether any new substance has been formed or not. So how are we going to check it? So what we can do over here is just take that solution in a porcelain dish, heat it. तो क्या होगा? Water is present in that solution, so it will get evaporated. अब वो evaporate होगा तो what will be left behind? Salt. ठीक है? This is how we separate salt from water, by the process of evaporation. So using this process of evaporation, what we can do is we can separate the salt again from that water salt solution. So we are getting that salt in the powdered form. It means we have got that substance back. वो material हमें वापस मिल गया है जो हमने add किया था water में. So that is why we can say that this is a physical change, because no new substance has been formed. जो original material था, that is again obtained at the end of the process. ठीक है? So that is why we can say that evaporation is a physical change and condensation is also a physical change. So I'm adding one more slide over here to write down some more examples. Evaporation of water, condensation of water, these both are physical changes. Then what other examples we can write? Glowing of an electric bulb. Glowing of an electric bulb. This is again a physical change. Then formation of clouds. ये भी physical change होता है. ठीक है? No new substances formed over here. Then grinding of a substance. Grinding of a substance. And related to this only we can take one example. Conversion of chalk stick into chalk dust. Conversion of chalk stick into chalk dust. Okay, so one more example. Then conversion, okay, stretching metals to form wires. Okay, so this is it. I have given so many examples to you all. Okay, just note these down in your copies. These much are sufficient for you to understand this physical change. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, so now similarly, breaking of a glass tumbler, tearing of paper, these we have already discussed. Okay, so this was about physical change. Now you can easily define what do you understand by a physical change and what are the characteristics along with the examples if you are asked. Okay, so now let's move on to the next type of change and the last topic of our chapter, that is chemical change. Now what do you understand by this chemical change? So a change leading to the production of a new substance is known as a chemical change. So here the most important point is that always a new substance will be formed in a chemical change. Physical change में क्या होता था? उसमें कोई नया substance नहीं बनता था. But in a chemical change, always a new substance will be formed. So that is how you can identify both types of changes. This is the difference between the two. Physical में कोई substance नहीं बनेगा नया, and in chemical a new substance will always form. Then these changes are mostly irreversible. Okay. Then next is some of the chemical changes occurring in our day-to-day life include rusting of iron, silver jewelry getting tarnished, or copper articles getting covered by green layer. So these are the different examples of chemical changes. Okay, so basically how are we going to define this chemical change? That the changes in which new substances are formed are called chemical changes. Okay, now if I talk about this these new substance or new substances which are formed during this chemical change, the properties of these substances, okay, which are formed in the changes, in this chemical changes, these are entirely different from those of the original substance. जो नया substance बनेगा या जो नए substances बनेंगे, उनकी जो properties हैं वो original substance से different होंगी, बिल्कुल different होंगी. Fine. So this during chemical change, a substance undergoes a change in its chemical composition, or we can say in its chemical properties. उसकी chemical properties में change आएगा, उसके chemical composition में change आएगा. That is how a chemical change takes place. So here in these changes, these cannot be reversed. Most of these chemical changes are irreversible in nature. Now these changes are usually permanent because we are saying that these are irreversible. Now a lot of energy is either absorbed or given out in chemical changes. Physical changes में क्या होता था? थोड़ी बहुत energy है ना? Here what is written? Very little energy is either absorbed or evolved in a physical change. But if I talk about a chemical change, so in this change, a lot of energy is either absorbed or released during this change. Okay, so now again, we are going to just write down the characteristics of chemical changes. Okay, the first characteristic, just note down these characteristics in your copies, children. First of all, write the definition of chemical change. Then you're going to write these characteristics, and after that we'll write some examples. Okay, so the first characteristic is one or more new substances are formed in a chemical change. Okay, so this is the first characteristic, that either one or more than one new substances will be formed in a chemical change. I'll be explaining all the characteristics afterwards along with the examples. Okay, so just write down the second one. A chemical change is a permanent change. Okay, it cannot be reversed. Usually it cannot be reversed. That is why it is a chemical change. Next is a lot of energy in the form of heat, light, etc. is either absorbed or given out in a chemical change. Okay, next one is found, may be produced in a chemical change. Then the fifth one is a change in smell may take place or a new smell may be given off in a chemical change. Fine. Now next one, a permanent change in color may take place in a chemical change. And the last one is a gas may be formed in a chemical change. Okay. So these are the characteristics of a chemical change. So just note down these characteristics. I'll be explaining all these along with some examples. Okay. So I hope this is clear. Okay. So these are the characteristics of chemical change. The first one is one or more new substances are formed in a chemical change. Fine. So this we all know that in a physical change, no new substance is formed. Whereas if I talk about a chemical change, one or more than one new substances are formed, are always formed. हमेशा बनेगा. At least एक नया substance तो form होगा ही. Okay. The second point is that a chemical change is a permanent change. It cannot be reversed. Usually these chemical changes cannot be reversed. Third point, a lot of energy in the form of heat, light, etc. is either absorbed or given out in a chemical change. Physical change में क्या होता था? A little amount of energy was either absorbed or given out. But here a lot of energy, a large amount of energy is either absorbed or given out. So this absorption or evolution of energy, this इसका ये जो evolve होती है energy or this absorption, these both are visible in these changes. हम देख सकते हैं. I'll just show you with the help of an example. Okay, that how we can identify that this energy is either it is absorbed or it is liberated. Fine. So the next point is sound may be produced in a chemical change. So in these kind of changes, sound may be produced. Now a change in smell may take place or a new smell may be given off in a chemical change. ठीक है, इसमें change in smell होती है or a new smell. क्योंकि what is going on here is बेटा जब chemical change होता है कभी भी तो उसमें हमेशा एक रिएक्शन होती है, एक केमिकल रिएक्शन होती है. जो केमिकल्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं उसमें वो सब आपस में रिएक्ट करके कोई नया प्रोडक्ट बना रहे हैं, कोई नया सब्सटेंस फॉर्म कर रहे हैं. तो व्हाट इज गोइंग एक्चुअली इज नया उसका कॉम्पोजिशन चेंज हो जाता है. ओके. अब कॉम्पोजिशन या प्रॉपर्टीज, केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज अगर किसी भी मटेरियल की दे आर चेंजिंग, देन व्हाट विल हैपन, हमें कुछ ना कुछ उसका साइन मिलेगा कि कैसे वो चेंज हो रही है. हम वो देख सकते हैं. चेंज कैसे देख सकते हैं? या तो उसमें हम एनर्जी के फॉर्म में देख सकते हैं कि लाइट एनर्जी निकल रही हो. ठीक है, दैट इज अ केमिकल चेंज. हमें लाइट एनर्जी निकलती हुई दिख रही है. ठीक है. और स्मेल से हम डिटेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि हमें कुछ नई तरह की स्मेल है, या फिर जो पहले से स्मेल थी उस केमिकल की उसमें कुछ चेंज आया हो. तो इस तरह से भी वी कैन आइडेंटिफाई. ओके. So the next characteristic is a permanent change in color may take place in a chemical change. So here the change in color, it is permanent. ठीक है. In the physical change, the change in color was temporary, but it was for a short duration. But here this change in color is permanent. Then the last point is a gas. Okay, the spelling of gas, I've written it wrong, children, just correct it. That is gas. Okay, I have just mentioned here double S. So a gas may be formed in a chemical change. ठीक है. तो इसमें कोई गैस भी फॉर्म हो सकती है। जैसे बहुत सारी गैसेस होती हैं जो जब इवॉल्व होती हैं तो उनके टेस्ट होते हैं कि आप कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करोगे गैस को, है ना। कोई गैस ऐसी होती है जो मैचस्टिक पास लाने पे, अगर हम मैचस्टिक को बर्न कर रहे हैं उसके पास लाए तो उसमें एक पॉप साउंड आता है ऐसे। तो देयर आर मेनी टेस्ट, है ना, बहुत सारे अलग अलग तरह के टेस्ट होते हैं अलग अलग तरह की गैसेस को डिटेक्ट करने के लिए। so these kind of gases may also be formed during this chemical change. So for today children, I would like you all to just note down this definition of chemical change, note down these few examples which are written over here, and the characteristics. In the next class, I'll be explaining you these characteristics along with the examples. I'll give you a list of examples as well. Okay, so we'll just do the examples in the next class. Okay, so for today, this is it. Just revise the chapter properly and just try to identify the difference between physical and chemical change. उसके characteristics अच्छे से समझो, अच्छे से read करो, and just try to understand the difference between the two, and try to observe the changes around you and categorize them into physical and chemical changes. Reversible, irreversible, I hope all of you are very clear with those two. But now try to identify the same changes which you have observed before, observed earlier, into physical and chemical changes. Fine. This is all for today, children. Goodbye. Take care.